The world is imperfect because self-serving elite rulers have shaped it to their advantage for centuries. In most cases, those were greedy and power-hungry kings, emperors, presidents, and their governments, who controlled and manipulated civilization by constantly imposing new humiliating regulations and laws. Creating the modern slavery system, a real-life matrix. In the past, slavery meant that the government would obtain slaves to work for free. However, this practice has ceased. Instead, people were employed to work for money, and the government could print as much of it as they desired. So, if a government can essentially create currency out of thin air and individuals are willing to devote their lives to it, they are still in the form of slavery. Today, the situation stays the same. Only how it's done has changed. The real matrix is everywhere, it's all around us. You can see it when you look through the window or when you turn on the television. You can feel it when you go to the church, when you go to work, or when you pay taxes. This world has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. The truth is that you are a slave like everyone else, born into bondage, into a prison of your mind. Have you ever looked around and felt like something was wrong with the world around you? Like we're living in some controlled world according to someone else's rules, and the government makes decisions that keep us obedient and compliant? If so, you're not alone. Many people have woken up and realized that slavery is still very much a reality. When the term Matrix is heard, everybody thinks of the iconic movie franchise where humans are unknowingly trapped in a simulated reality controlled by machines. However, the term real matrix has taken on a deeper meaning in modern times, encompassing various systems and structures that shape people's thoughts, behaviors, and expectations. The term real matrix primarily includes brainwashing methods based on political ideology and religion, as well as societal norms, cultural expectations, educational institutions, and corporate structure of a particular country. Translating this concept, the term represents the societal constructs that confine individuals to monotonous jobs, limited growth opportunities, false beliefs, and a sense of servitude to the system. Ultimately, the real matrix can be seen as a status quo in which many people feel trapped, making it difficult to break free and live on their own terms. Every country in this world operates like a precisely controlled and sophisticated system ruled by the elite. The ruling elite, via governments, constantly exploit the system for its benefit but to the detriment of citizens. The government, religion, media, and other powerful institutions use their power to control the narrative and keep the masses in the dark about the truth. As a result, billions of people are being manipulated and enslaved by the wealthy elite, who have an agenda to control the general population. The ruling elite lacks empathy and compassion and does not regard ordinary people. They perceive themselves as superior beings and utilize others for their benefit. They also present through various archetypes of overpowered people who have God's blessing to govern society. After all, they aim to create followers based on the political ideology they spread and use them to come to power. Anyone who seriously attempts to stop them gets ridiculed, recruited, bribed, blackmailed, threatened, or killed. Their police authorities enforce punishment and repress, allowing them to maintain control and power. So, unlike in the movie, where machines rule humans, in the real matrix, the governing elite rules over the citizens. It's all about money, power, and control. All political systems, whether a democracy, monarchy, authoritarianism, or others, follow a similar matrix scheme that controls people's lives. The only difference lies in the ruler's degree of power and intensity and their government's oppressive laws and regulations. Today, many political systems claim to be democratic and serve society. Still, the facts don't lie, because the absolute truth is that most of them are corrupt democratic capitalism that actually depletes society. In democracy, the specific political orientation of the ruling party is not of paramount importance, as both left-leaning and right-leaning factions have the same goal: to rule the system. However, in many corrupt democratic countries worldwide, governments extract money from their citizens without providing them with any significant benefits. Such a false democratic system is unfair and only burdens citizens with unexplainable laws and increasing taxes. Besides, citizens cannot do anything to rebel against the tyranny of the governing elite. Most of them will suffer injustice all their lives, and in the end, they will die as utilized slaves. The governing elite will do anything to prevent society from realizing that they are manipulating them. They will educate in ways that foster obedience, conformity, and deception to maintain the masses' ignorance. Their most effective methods of operation will be lies, deception, brainwashing and intimidation, unconstitutional and illegal deprivation of fundamental rights and freedom by imposing a bunch of senseless, humiliating measures and laws. Therefore, with such an influence, the governing elite creates a slavery system that manipulates people in their most important life needs. Nationalism is an ideological political movement that glorifies national culture, local symbols, and native ideas while denigrating everything foreign. Brainwashing with nationalistic rhetoric is the most influential political method for manipulating society, and it can also be used to repress social movements. Right-leaning democratic politicians mainly use nationalism to achieve popularity and power in their country. Their radical political ideology convinces people to believe in what they promote, brainwashing the masses and thus gaining more followers. They also use military propaganda to brainwash the population into believing that they must defend the nation, join the army, and fight their battles. The authorities punish, repress, and even imprison those who do not comply with their rules and regulations. Essentially, the government restricts freedom, and those who rebel against its oppressive rule face harsh consequences. Moreover, the worst example of nationalistic influence ever seen in the world is North Korea's totalitarian system. In this country, the governing elite brainwashed the entire population with nationalistic rhetoric. The influence of nationalistic propaganda on their society is unimaginably strong and effective, lasting for decades. As a result, most of their population doesn't even know that the world exists around them. Which is total madness. However, North Korea's case shows us how massive brainwashing actually works, because they created the real matrix in a pure sense. So, as long as you believe that the real matrix does not exist, you will inevitably have to submit passively and without any resistance to the government's authority. And all his mediators and chosen ones, officials, ministers, bureaucrats, and all other representatives who impose themselves in your country to govern society. In most countries worldwide, 90% of ordinary people live a programmed life caused by their ruling system. Their single-minded objective is to program the masses to obey, comply and conform. The programming mode operates like a collective psychic influence, creating a consensual reality. As a result, it enables an internal virtual reality in people's heads, shaping their attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. In the real matrix, every day is pretty much the same as yesterday, as is every week and every following month. The progress of evaluation is slowing down society because people live the same way of life repeatedly. The systemical way of living reduces their lives to alternating between their workplace and home, which they call everyday life. Besides, most adults who are not wealthy have to work only to barely survive. The fact is that most people in this world are enslaved and allow the system they live in to shape their destinies in such a way. Moreover, the educational system teaches many falsehoods to program and control people. Or rather, we only know what they want us to know. The imposed education system steers the majority towards joining the corporate world and working endlessly until retirement. However, the government and the education system are not the only ones who are guilty of this. Large corporations and other organizations also use propaganda to advance their interests and agendas, employing advertising, marketing, and other tactics to influence behavior and decisions. Corporations today exert a considerable influence over the ruling system. In some countries, their impact on the government is so significant that it raises suspicion that corporations actually control the government. Even in those countries that strictly limit corporate influence on political campaigns, the corporate sector can still play an essential role in developing governmental policies through sophisticated, high-level lobbying. Pharmaceutical, food, and media companies hold crucial positions in our society as they have the power to control people's essential needs and wants. The pharmaceutical industry significantly impacts our health and well-being, providing life-saving medicines to cure diseases and alleviate suffering. But is that really so? In the last 50 years, medicine has progressed so much that practically no person is entirely healthy. Pharmaceutical companies often prioritize maximizing their profits from selling medications and vaccines over promoting people's health. Therefore, the correlation is simple: an increase in illnesses leads to a revenue increase. Similarly, the food industry produces mainly GMO foods, which are artificial and toxic and contain many chemicals that harm the body. Healthy food is often 3 times more expensive than regular food. Unfortunately, many people who cannot afford nutritious food consume the more affordable alternatives. The food industry also prioritizes financial gain over personal health, leading to this unfortunate fact. So, it's inevitable that these corporations amass wealth without responsibility for their actions because they often align with governments to evade accountability. On the other hand, media companies controlled by governments shape perceptions and beliefs through the content they produce and distribute, influencing the attitudes of the majority. They utilize propaganda and meticulously crafted messaging to sway beliefs and actions, employing various forms of media, education, and communication to shape thoughts and convictions. The constant stream of information keeps the masses ignorant and compliant, so they cannot see the truth about the world around them. Through entertainment programs and various organized events, they distract people to keep them under control. As the old Roman proverb says, 2 things only the people anxiously desire: bread and circuses. Freedom of expression as a human right involves a positive obligation of governments to guarantee freedom of the media. But is that really so? The governing elite successfully hides everything that is in their interest from the public, and that is a fact. Various illegal actions, corruption, fraud, theft, and love scandals from the highest officials. Illegal actions of the authorities and Secret Service, police brutality, and war crimes. All are successfully covered up by the system through their propaganda. Every ruling system aims to impose an education system that compels individuals to work in the corporate world. Corporate structures are the organizational systems, policies, and practices governing business operations. These structures can significantly impact the well-being and success of employees, customers, and the broader community. For instance, a company with a toxic corporate culture can create an environment of stress, burnout, and low morale among its employees. Employees in such a company often follow a structured routine, have limited autonomy, and must trade time and skills for a paycheck. Most of them work 8 hours a day to stay afloat, 6 days a week for some leisure, and all year long to take a 2-week vacation. Ultimately, they spend their entire lives working towards retirement in old age. Many individuals feel trapped within this corporate system, experiencing the loss of personal freedom, creative expression, and a sense of purpose. Extreme materialism has influenced the entire world, wherein the importance of money has surpassed that of human life. The human psyche has become heavily dependent on material possessions, and the entire world revolves around wealth accumulation. So, it is undeniable that the political and banking systems wield significant influence over this materialistic culture. Many individuals borrow money from banks without realizing the consequences, which can lead to financial enslavement. However, it is essential to question how many people are trapped in the real matrix due to money, which is billions. The banking system aims to keep people impoverished because this is precisely what they want. So, unlike in the movie, where machines rule over humans to supply energy, in the real matrix, the governing elite rules over its citizens to extract money for their benefit. On the other hand, materialism's strong influence allows people to practice hedonism and enjoy life. Due to their obsession with money and material things, they cannot see the absolute truth of the world around them. They also have a narrow view and a wrong perception of life in general. As a result, they don't overthink the problems the system imposes on them. Ultimately, the system teaches people how to make a living but not how to live. In ancient times, a couple of wise men invented stories that are now more than 2,000 years old. Throughout history, these stories have been spread by various institutions worldwide using manipulative and persuasive tactics. They advanced so ingeniously that they created a counterfeit belief system, a doctrine that would serve as the foundation of a religion. So, from this perspective, religion is actually an undifferentiated mythical consciousness regardless of which one it is. It's simultaneously a ritualized entertainment game, magic, and an artistic fantastic reproduction of reality, nothing more than a fictional lack of real life. Mainstream religions, such as Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, are supported by wealthy institutions that consciously and subconsciously influence millions of people. They were created based on invented dogmas to manipulate the masses of followers around the world spiritually. Their primary goal was indoctrination on a mass scale, which had a significant effect on the civilizations worldwide. However, these religions hold significant power today as they have shaped society's beliefs, thoughts, and behaviors for millennia. Today, more than half of the world's population has fallen under the influence of mainstream religions and their false beliefs. Take the Roman Catholic Church, for example. This wealthy institution invented a false doctrine based on one book that became the best story ever sold in the world. Their primary techniques were brainwashing methods of persuasion, spiritual manipulation, and aggression. Once, it was so powerful that it became the law, influencing many nations worldwide. However, it has lost its power in modern times because people no longer believe in fairy tales. In addition, the complex relationship between religion and politics has existed for centuries and has profoundly impacted societies worldwide. Today, with its moral and ethical teachings, political parties use religion as a tool to legitimize their authority and influence their followers' attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. The intertwined forces of religion, politics, and corporations shape a society's beliefs, values, laws, and policies, creating what is now known as the real matrix. Still, it is challenging for most people to be happy, to get up in the morning with positive energy and start the new day carefree. Living out your life with a strong sense of freedom and dignity goes against the system's rules in this controlled world of prejudices. Escaping the real matrix primarily involves freeing oneself from the constraints that impede personal growth and self-fulfillment. However, breaking free from societal norms, cultural beliefs, the corporate world, and personal habits can be challenging. Many people feel trapped within these boundaries, which prevents them from achieving their true potential and leading satisfying lives. The real matrix governing your life can sometimes feel overpowering and burdensome, but it is not an insurmountable barrier. The first step is to reject any political ideology, and the second is to question religious beliefs. You can also liberate yourself from the shackles that hold you back by questioning your assumptions, seeking novel experiences, cultivating critical thinking, and taking action. Another approach to escaping the real matrix and regaining control over your life is exploring alternative business models prioritizing individual autonomy and social responsibility. Alternative business models like freelancing offer a powerful way to break free from the corporate world and live on your terms. Think outside the box, change your perception, and you will see the world from a different perspective. When you create the preconditions for your psyche to cope with them, your suppressed emotions will spontaneously liberate.